Us on Explosive Exclusive is Brigitte Gabriel. She's a National Security Analyst, a best-selling author of the New York Times, and Chairperson of Act for America. Ms. Gabriel, thanks very much for speaking to us here in India. First question to you is...
I'm honored to be with you.
Thank you. My first question to you is, what do you make of this entire propaganda attempt by the Hamas Now saying, listen, we are only taking away hostages because of what we have been subjected to for decades now, and look, we're taking care of them. They've released a propaganda video where they are showing that we are operating upon an Israeli-French hostage and we're taking care of her.
This is absolute baloney, absolute propaganda. First of all, what type of barbarians steal children? 6-month-old babies who are taking hostages, women, grandparents, elderly who need medication. You know, if you want to fight a fight and you are a legitimate organization, fight men like men. Take men as hostages. You don't take 2-year-old little girls. You don't take a 6-month-old baby. You don't take an 8-month-old baby. You do not take an 8-year-old baby. You do not take teenagers. You do not take women. This is barbarism at its best. And it doesn't matter how many pictures Hamas shows. What do you think? This girl is going to say, look, they are abusing me, raping me. Hamas is showing whatever they want the world to see. But as somebody who comes from the Arabic world, I was raised and grew up in Lebanon. The Palestinians started shelling our towns when I was 10 years old. They used people as human shields. I was used as a human shield as a 10-year-old little girl in Lebanon when the Palestinians used to launch their rocket launchers in front of my bomb shelter, where 9 children were hiding in a bomb shelter and shoot at Israel, waiting for Israel to shoot back so we can be collateral damage that they can show on the screen. They have no conscience, they have no soul, and the world should not be buying any legitimacy or propaganda from a terrorist organization that kidnaps children, babies, women, and the elderly.
You know, it's very important that you outline your own personal experience when you were used as a human shield in Lebanon, because that's exactly what the IDF says is being done to Gazans at present. What do you make of the response to this argument? Because there is a large section of people across the world who are saying, why are you making Palestinians pay for the crimes of Hamas? What have little children and women done?
The Palestinians in Gaza are mostly Hamas. They elect Hamas. Remember, Gaza, Israel gave Gaza to the Palestinians back in 2005. Their first election, they put a woman called Nidal that they nominated her to the prominent position in the ministry, in their government. And the reason why they nominated her, and she won, by the way, because she sent 3 of her sons as suicide bombers to die, and she ran on the platform of I have another 7 to send them over to Israel to blow themselves up to smithereens just to kill Christians. This is what the Palestinians elected and have been electing for all these years. The Palestinians in Gaza chose Hamas as their representatives. They support them, they stand with them, and for the Palestinians who may not agree with Hamas, they hate the Jews so badly. They are collectively anti-Semite. And the plight of the Palestinians in Gaza lays only at the feet of Hamas. It is Hamas who held them prisoners. It's because of Hamas's atrocities and war that they are living in the squalor that they are living. Look, Gaza used to export in 2004 50 million flowers to Europe. Gaza flourished when the Israelis were there. I think they exported 40% of the world's tomatoes out of Gaza. They had greenhouses. When Israel withdrew out of Gaza and they gave Gaza to the Palestinians in 2005, they left all the greenhouses. They wanted to help the Palestinians prosper. I know a businessman in New York who raised $14 million and sent it to the Palestinians so they can continue working and operating the greenhouses. And what did the Palestinians do? Destroy the greenhouses within 24 hours. Not just destroy them, but steal the copper in the pipes to make sure nothing works. They shoot themselves in the foot. So the Palestinians in Gaza are the collateral damage of Hamas, not of Israel.
But what about children? If children die, surely that cannot be shrugged off as collateral damage of self-defense by Israel.
Look, my heart goes out to the children. I am a mother. I'm a grandmother. Nobody wants to see children dead. It is unfortunate that civilians die in war. But this war was declared on Israel by Hamas, not the other way around. Again, Israel gave Gaza to the Palestinians completely in 2005. They would have made Gaza Singapore of the Middle East. But they did not. They invested everything into fighting the Jews and teaching their children hatred. In war, ugly things happen. Children die. Civilians die. In any war, any time in history, all across the globe. That's just a product of war. And in this situation, my heart breaks, and I pray for the Palestinians as well as the Israelis, as well as the Lebanese, who are going to be collateral damage in this war, because Hezbollah will get involved in the war. But it's an ugly reality of war. Children are going to die, as well as the Hamas fighter. The sad reality in this is that Hamas is going to use the children as props, because Hamas puts their warehouse, their depot for their weapons are under hospitals, under schools, under mosques. They are forcing people in Gaza to stay in Gaza and not escape. That's why we are seeing a delay in the leaving of Gaza. And so if any children going to die, it's not the fault of Israel, it's the fault of Hamas.
What do you make of the argument? And we've seen this, espoused by multiple activists, sometimes on the streets, sometimes in academia, that you're looking at what happened on the 7th of October, but you forgot what happened in 1947 when the Palestinians' land was snatched from them and simply farmed off to the Israelis. And this is the uprising of those who have been dispossessed and have been suppressed for decades now.
By the way, in 1948, when Israel was given the land, Gaza was occupied by Egypt, and the West Bank was occupied with Jordan until 1967. People forget that the PLO, the Palestinian Liberation Organization, was founded in 1964, 3 years before Israel went into Gaza and captured Gaza, and went into the West Bank and captured the West Bank. And that's only because the Arabs invaded Israel. So what was the PLO founded to liberate back in 1964? Gaza was Egypt. The West Bank was Jordan. There was Egyptian flags flowing over Gaza. How come nobody was talking about the occupation then? There were Jordanian flags flowing over Jerusalem. How come nobody talked about the occupation then? When the land was partial, and the Israelis said, and the UN, by the way, gave the Israelis, all the sand dunes, all the places where you can't grow anything. And the Arabs said, sure, let the Israelis have it. They're going to die in no time, because there's nothing you can grow, you can't live. The Israelis turned Israel into Eden of the Middle East. They grew greenery where greenery couldn't even be grown. They developed the agricultural development in Israel. And again, I need to remind people that in 1964, Gaza and the West Banks were occupied by Egypt and Jordan. They were never Palestinians.
I saw a very impassioned speech by you where you said that the silent minority does not matter. Do you think that equally applies to what is happening in Gaza? Because a large number of people, not just in Gaza, but across the world, are saying this is being used by the global right to fan Islamophobia. The fact is, the majority does not believe in what Hamas did. They believe in the right of Palestinians, not in the violence of Hamas.
I agree with you on that. Most of the Palestinians want to return to their land. Let's say they want to return to Jerusalem, they want to return to Gaza, etc. And you don't see a day of jihad for the Holy Sepulchre Day of Jihad, or Jesus Day of Jihad, or a Buddhist Day of Jihad. How come you always hear the invocation of Al-Aqsa Mosque, Al-Aqsa Day of Jihad? They are making this a political Islam movement. This is not about Palestine. This is about a war against the Jews. It's the anti-Semites who want to drive the Jews out of any inch of the Middle East. They do not even want them to exist. So a lot of people who are sitting on the sidelines, who may not agree with Hamas, but they don't want to see Palestinians suffering. It's time to speak up and condemn the barbarian Hamas for their atrocities. Look, where are the mothers, the Muslim mothers in Gaza saying, okay, look, we draw the line here. You cannot kidnap girls. You cannot rape girls. You cannot kidnap children. Yes, we want to fight for our land, but we do not agree with you stealing 6-month-old baby who's probably still breastfeeding from their mother. You cannot steal 2-year-old babies from their parents. You cannot take elderly who are on medication. We are women. We are the mothers of Gaza speaking out. We are the Palestinian mothers speaking out worldwide. If they would do that, the whole world will step back and say, you know, maybe we need to look at the Palestinian cause. I mean, these people really are suffering. Let's talk to the Israelis. Let's see what we can work out. But the Palestinians do not want that. And let me remind people that back in 2000, Ehud Barak, the prime minister then, offered the Palestinians 97% back of the territories in exchange for peace. 97% he offered to Yasser Arafat. The Palestinians said, no, we do not want it. We want every inch or nothing. They don't even want the Jews to exist in the Middle East, and that's the problem.
You know, I also want to draw your attention to this letter that has been written by Israel-based progressive and peace activists. And they have said, I quote, "To our dismay, some elements within the global left, individuals who were until now our political partners, have reacted with indifference to the horrific events and sometimes even justified Hamas's actions." Do you think these are well-meaning individuals whose silence is being called out, who are well-meaning, they are confusing the rights of Palestinians with what Hamas did, or is there something more to it?
Look, the left in America has enabled this radicalism that we are seeing right now in the United States and the anti-Semitism. It was actually a lot of Jewish activists who stood with the Palestinians against people like me, because they thought, no, Brigitte, you're a radical, you know, the Palestinians are not that bad, you know, Hamas does not represent them. And I think right now, a lot of people on the left are waking up in America and they are realizing, wow, nobody is even condemning the rape, the killing. I mean, we have seen images of Israeli young teenagers raped, killed, and paraded naked by Hamas. This is Hamas video. That they are so proud that they have done this. This is not Israeli propaganda. It's Hamas videos parading people that they have killed and they have raped. Where are the voices? I think the left in America finally is stepping back and thinking, especially the Jewish left, saying, how come nobody is standing with us condemning such atrocities? We thought, you know, everybody is just standing up for Palestinian rights and they are all outstanding citizens. And they are realizing a lot of these people sympathize with Hamas and even agree with Hamas and see nothing wrong with raping Israeli women, parading them naked, killing them on the streets of Gaza, taking children, even Hamas videos showing them holding children, Hamas terrorists holding babies, parading them on camera. This is unacceptable and it's barbarism, and it's about time for the world to wake up and throw political correctness in the garbage where it belongs and start speaking the truth about the barbaric enemy we are facing. If Christians, if Buddhists hijacked 6-month-old babies and raped women and kidnapped teenagers and kidnapped elderly ladies and paraded them in the streets, I would be condemning the Buddhists, I would be condemning the Christians who would do such barbaric acts. It's time for the civilized world to stand up and say, we are not going to stand up for this in the 21st century. Barbarism is barbarism done in the name of anybody.
Final question, do you also think American campuses and universities need to look within, especially with the kind of responses or the lack of it that we've seen in the last week and a half?
Absolutely, but I believe our universities have become occupied territories. We have lost control of our universities for 2 reasons. The number 1 reason, we have unlimited visas in America that we can issue to foreign students. There is no cap on any university. So a university can give, you know, 1,000, 3,000, 4,000 visas a year to foreign students to come here. And what's happening in the Middle East, because of the oil wealth, you have Saudi foundations, you have foundations from the Gulf states who are shelling out money to students from Egypt, Jordan, Syria, the Palestinian territories, Yemen, Saudi Arabia, all these people who are fed a steady diet of hatred against the Jews and America, who are coming to study in our universities. That's where you are seeing the mushroom grooming of this hate ideology against America, against Israel. And to top it off, American universities are also accepting funding from foreign governments like Saudi Arabia and the Gulf states, who are setting up Middle East study departments and political science departments and appointing Arab professors who are anti-Israel and anti-America to brainwash the students. And that's the result today of what we are seeing on college campuses.
Well, at least as a community, the Jewish community, the Israeli community is absolutely clear that any kind of gaslighting is not going to be tolerated anymore. Maybe others should wake up to the reality as well. Thank you very much, Ms. Brigitte Gabriel, for having joined us here on Times Now.